Hey everybody, I'm here with Nick Blasco and Clark Depew. My name is Hannah Davis, and my role right now is just to facilitate a conversation with two men that have dedicated their lives to physical fitness, Tiger's Den, meditative fitness, Dallas Stronger, and just helping people live their healthiest lives. Starting with Nick and then with Clark. Gentlemen, how are you doing?
Doing well, thank you.
Yeah, doing good. Just trying to weather the storm and keep fit and keep people motivated.
Okay, so Clark, Tiger's Den is an incredibly popular CrossFit box and fitness facility in Dallas, and it's also a community. What was that like on the day that you guys heard that you were going to have to shut down in-person operations?
Pretty surreal, actually.
Guys, hold it. Sorry. Let me pause this for a second. I'm going to put Tobias inside so he's not barking in the background all the time.
Okay.
Cool.
No, but there's stuff up here. Okay. Nick, are you alive?
All right, I've got you back now.
Okay. All right. So we're going to start over. Ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Hi, everybody. I'm Hannah Davis, and my role right now is to facilitate a conversation between Nick Blasco and Clark. Shit, how do you say your name again?
Depew.
I want to say Depew. Okay, Depew. Okay, here we go. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Hi, everybody. My name is Hannah Davis. I'm here with Clark Depew and Nick Blasco with Tiger's Den CrossFit. And I'm here to facilitate a conversation about the CrossFit community, how to stay healthy and active during these really complicated times, and to take care of yourself the best way you can. Clark, I'll start with you, and then with Nick. How are you gentlemen doing?
Doing well, hanging in there.
And Nick?
Yeah, doing good. Right now, just trying to weather the storm, keep in shape, keep people motivated.
So, Clark, I think it's been about 3 weeks, give or take, since the city of Dallas said that gyms could no longer operate. When you heard that news, what was that like for you, and how did your community receive that news?
Yeah, it was definitely surreal looking back on some of those days right now. We tried to hold on as long as we could. And then, just got a little bit real towards the end. We decided we had to take that step. And it was heartbreaking, really. It's still kind of heartbreaking that we have that space and that facility, and it's a big space, and we don't have a ton of people in there most times, but to just not be able to let anybody come in there and work out, and then for people to have to, just kind of fend for themselves at home, at least to some extent. We're doing our best to help them, keep them going, but yeah, just keeping everybody in mind through this.
When this all is said and done, because we will get through this, what do you want people to know about that space? Is it going to be ready and waiting for them?
Yes, I definitely have some things on my list to accomplish, like just a few little improvements, and just want to make it the best reception back for everybody when they come back. And more than anything, I think a lot of people probably feel the same way. Just looking forward to seeing everyone and connecting with everyone. You just don't realize how much you miss it until it's not there.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll drop in on that as well. I think that's one of the biggest draws to CrossFit, or I think something that we love so much about it. That's why people outside of it kind of say it's a cult, is because that community aspect of it. That's part of the thing is like the social interactions that you have with people when you come into the gym. You get to know your classmates, essentially. If you're a morning person, you come in, you make friends with everybody that comes in the morning, or you're an evening person, and some people that transcend both evening and morning, and it becomes really cool. And so, like, we have built an amazing community over the last couple of years, and it's been really tough. just to not see those people. That, I mean, that's, to me, being somebody that's not from Dallas, like the gym has become like my friend group. You know, all my the best friends that I have in Dallas, I made through that gym. So through the box, through Tiger's Den. So I think that's one of the toughest spots is being away from that community. But yeah.
So what's your
Absolutely.
advice for both of you guys, because you can't see your clients in person right now? That's the reality of it. And that's to keep people safe. Do you have advice for CrossFitters out there on ways to stay connected?
Yeah, one thing, I mean, I've seen a lot of people doing is forming like smaller groups or finding at least one other person to work out with. In fact, I think one of the coolest things about this time that we've had is a lot of people are doing it with family members, maybe children even, or just people that wouldn't normally be doing CrossFit or doing a CrossFit workout. And we're delivering a pretty awesome home program that I think people are having some fun with. So that's been one thing. Other than that, you know, anybody that is not out there and following along and actually doing the workouts, you know, reach out to us. We're here for you. We would love to hear from you. Just let us know what's going on, or schedule a call, and we can talk about, you know, your situation specifically, because I think sometimes it is very individual. And a lot of times when we're dealing with like motivation and things like that, it's such a psychological thing, which I think, you know, Nick and I both have a good grasp on some of that when it applies to fitness and getting in your work.
Nick, I know you love coaching. Have you been reaching out to your clients, customers individually to kind of, I don't know, light that fire? How has your communication changed with the people you work with?
Yeah, I mean, it's changed quite a bit, just in that, you know, I see most of my personal clients 3 times a week, most of them. So, you know, we're a little bit disengaged right now. Now I'm still in text communication with a few of them, so here and there, and they're being very patient during this time as well. Obviously, as you know, Hannah, but you know, I have been away from Dallas in general and Wichita, Kansas, for the past almost a month now. I'm helping a family member rehabilitate. So that's one good thing that's helped me, just to keep busy and to keep going during this time. But you know, the people I work with have been amazing in that they're still supportive and they're patient with, you know, what's going on. I mean, they know that I can't help the situation that we're in. And you know, and I am optimistic, and I trust that these people will continue on with me afterwards. So, you know, I really do appreciate them. And I think that goes for our Tiger's Den members as well. I think going back to that community base that we built, I think that we will find that as soon as those doors are allowed to be open again, and we feel that it's safe, and that, you know, we've got this COVID-19 thing under control to where we can run business as usual and bring people back into the classes, I think we'll see every single one of those people show back up.
Yeah, I think so. And I think I'm putting it out there that we are going to be experiencing this kind of flood of energy, and everybody's going to be really ready to get out and get in some workouts with a group and a community, even people that probably haven't done it before. Hopefully they're seeing what's going on in the CrossFit communities. I think I mean, it's not only happening in the CrossFit communities. There's a lot of other fitness type communities as well, but definitely very strong in the CrossFit community as far as people staying together and keeping going and motivated, and the box is doing whatever's in their power to deliver the programs. Real quick though, Nick, Hannah was telling me a little bit about the success that you're having with your brother-in-law there.
Yeah.
You touch on that real quick, because I think it could be super inspirational for people right now to just hear that that's happening inside of a home during QuarantineFit.
Yeah, so just to kind of run down the whole story, my brother-in-law was he got a extremely bad respiratory infection, not related to coronavirus, while traveling abroad. He was in Vietnam and caught a really bad respiratory infection that caused his body to go into septic shock. They in turn, put him on a ventilator. He was in a medically induced coma for several weeks. In that time, he had lost about 40 pounds off of a frame that had no weight to lose. Will's is a very lean guy. Generally, he's an ultra marathon runner. So always was in great shape. So being that he was on the ventilator and in that medically induced coma under anesthesia, his body started to atrophy. His muscle started to atrophy. So a lot of his muscle was eaten away in order to help him heal, which, hey, we'll take that any day, because that's one of the reasons he's alive right now, is because he had that muscle to fuel off of for his body to have energy to heal itself. He's made a miraculous recovery. Anyway, so once we got the news of this whole thing and the quarantine and the gym shut down and everything, I decided to drive to Wichita in order to help him out and to get him back on a rehabilitative program. Now, I'm a strength conditioning coach by trade, a CrossFit coach, and a personal trainer. I've dabbled in a lot of muscular rehab, joint rehab, things like that. But nothing like this before. I've never seen anything like this as far as how to approach this situation. So anyway, we started very basic movements, just kind of testing him out, see what he could do. And in the last, I think, 3 weeks or so that I've been here, he put on about 25 pounds. His strength has grown exponentially. It's been amazing to watch. And so we're putting back muscle. He's got glycogen and water back in his muscles. So like he's looking fuller, like even the 25 pounds, you think you gain 25 pounds in 3 weeks, it's going to be a lot of body fat. Well, that's just not how it works physiologically when you're in that state of dehydration and malnutrition because of the disease he was in, or because of the sickness that he had. But it's truly been awesome. With that, how we've been going about this, right? Obviously we're not working out in a gym. Obviously we're limited on the equipment that we have and what we can do. So I've gotten very creative with what I have. So we have some lightweight, small sets of dumbbells. We have some bands, and we've been slowly acquiring things borrowed from people around town. I dug out a bench that I had in my mom's garage from like high school. I think it's 14 years old. I think I bought it when I was a senior in high school.
Nice.
So just kind of collecting.
Bring it back to the gym. Bring it back to the gym if you want. Yeah. We could use it extra.
Sure. But no, it's getting creative. I think having the background that I have in all aspects of fitness when it comes to bodybuilding, strength conditioning, CrossFit, all that stuff is giving me a knowledge base to work off of as to try and manipulate anything. I'm using a piano as a system for my bands. I'm using columns around the house. We're using old benches that are outside. We're using anything we can to pick up and move or step on or use as a bench. We were using, before I got the bench, we were using ottomans as benches. We were, just anything. You just got to get creative. And so
exactly. That's one of the fun things I do want to say. That's one of the fun things about what's happening right now. And we've lent out almost everything we own at the gym. Everything that could fit in a car, or but one of the cool things I think is also knowing that, hey, like today, I just thought of this. People have rented squat racks, and I forgot about the boxes. I kept thinking about the jerk blocks, because those make a good squat rack. But the stacking up boxes, like you can literally make yourself a squat rack with very little money. You can make a set of boxes, or you can find some boxes. But anyways, just getting the barbell up there so you can get under it to do some squats. So it's kind of fun to do that, to look around and look and just try to find your fitness in your environment. And then there's outdoors. Seeing everybody going outdoors, I think, has been also pretty amazing. You can't drive or go anywhere right now without seeing somebody doing some fitness outside, which is kind of cool. So hopefully our people are on that same bandwagon.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a really good time. I feel like for me to get in tune with mobility practice, with a lot of static stretching. Um, Free plug here for GoWOD, but I had downloaded GoWOD previous to this whole thing, and Will and I started doing a daily one together when we started training. So we're like 3 weeks strong every single day. We're
Nice.
doing a GoWOD and really working on our mobility, which has been awesome for him to stretch those muscles that he's working on. Because as he's gaining back all of his strength and building back his muscle, I mean, he's said it's like he's never worked out before. I mean, this is coming from a guy who runs 100-mile races to tell me that he's never been sore like this before.
That's crazy.
It's really like he's like lifting weights for the first time. So like it's been really good. So and on that, I've been working a lot back into like kind of breaking back in my old like bodybuilding roots. So like using bands and dumbbells and weighs. And I mean, it's really like helping improve the range of motion, helping to work on some stabilization of the joints, as Clark knows too, like us CrossFitters, we compile injuries like it's going out of style just because sometimes we may push the limits a little bit of what we should be doing, or we want to do that RX when, maybe we shouldn't. It's things like that. It's friendly competitiveness in CrossFit, but you tend to build, maybe a little shoulder issue here, a hip issue there, whatever. But this has been a really cool time to like work on those specific areas of weakness and training them to where those injuries won't pile up like they have been.
Yeah. We're talking mainly about the minor type of aches and pains or joint pains and like minor injuries.
Right. Yeah. When I say injuries, sorry, I don't mean like shoulder surgeries and stuff. I mean like little nagging aches and pains here.
Yeah, exactly. I know what you meant, and I think most people do too. But and I was gonna say it's not easy putting on 25 pounds of muscle in 3 weeks. I can only imagine. But it is possible.
I've been treating him as if he's like my pregnant wife or something, and I've been eating pound for pound with him too. So
we all in solidarity.
Yeah. Dangerous.
Yeah. There's one thing that really stuck out to me, and I think this applies to anybody that really commits themselves to fitness, was the idea that, talking about my brother, that it's so important to when you get sick, to be healthy when you get sick. Yes. And because in the shape that he's in, and because he like dedicated his life to fitness, like the folks at Tiger's Den, and that's the reason that he's with us right now. And that was a huge kind of takeaway for me.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, a healthy body is one that can heal itself. So had he not been in the ultra marathon running shape that he had, I don't know if he'd be here today. So thank God that he trained as hard as he did and did the things that he did to get his lungs in the shape that they were in. And I think, that's one thing that, we can see as CrossFitters is we push our bodies to the limits quite a bit. And our community does that too. And that's really cool to see. But, I think like now more than ever, people will hopefully take their fitness and their health, more importantly, in consideration and make it a priority. Because absolutely. Hey, if you're somebody that's sitting around all day, who knows what would happen to you if you caught this thing. So
yeah, and that's one reason why, when I think of all of our people, and I think about the disease, I don't necessarily worry about our people being healthy and overcoming it. Sure, we might catch it. Some people in the gym even think they might have had it back in November before it was a public thing, and who knows. But I definitely believe that all of us, because of our fitness, because of the heart and lung capacity that we develop, I think is a huge part of it. The lung health and the breathing that we do. But I've never been healthier minus my kidney stone last month. But in the last 5 or 6 years, I hardly remember ever getting sick. And when I do, I usually rebound pretty quick. But before that, I used to get sick all the time. And the first week of this thing, it was really hard for me to get in a workout, just partly stress and just, they forced me to shut down the gym. And so that's a hard one to like get motivated to work out for the owner right afterwards, I think. So it took me a little bit of time, but in that week that I wasn't working out, I honestly felt my lungs, like I was getting more fearful by the day of catching it, because I felt like my lungs were not going to be as strong, or I was, maybe sometimes if we eat, this is going to our nutrition. If I'm not eating very well, I can feel it in my lungs, like inflammation, and I get shortness of breath when I eat certain foods, stuff like that. So you combine the lack of exercise with some of the quarantine eating that's happening in the world right now, which has its good and bad. But that's a bad recipe for getting sick. And I definitely don't want to be one of the healthy guys that looks healthy on the outside, but just has a lung issue that like asthma, or in my past I've had chronic bronchitis. So, and now that I am exercising again and I'm running, which I think running is one of the absolute best things we can do for our lungs, just a slow, steady intensity run. That's why I've been putting out this run program right now. I think it's very important. If you can get that type of breathing, that rhythmic breathing, it doesn't have to be super high intensity, but that is really strengthening our lungs and our ability to fight off this illness if we get it in the lungs. So anyways, that's just a couple cents there.
Yeah, I mean that's been one thing that I wanted to add or piggyback off of too is working on running right now. Like this is a great time for those of us that aren't known as a runner, to kind of get out and work on that. And our run program's been really good. It's been periodized. It has waves, and it's been really good for me too. It's kind of like forced me to get out and do something I generally don't like doing, and I've actually come to like it, because the more I do it, the more I'm getting in tune with it and the stride and all that. So
Nice.
this is a perfect time for people to work on those type of weaknesses, running, mobility, body weight movements, planking, handstand holds, all that good stuff. I mean, most of us have a bare wall, or a ceiling high enough to where we can kick up into a handstand. So for me, like, I was on a strict handstand push-up program before this all came down, and I've been able to continue that at home too. So it's kind of like finding different things to work on. So, it is hard to have that motivation, I think, sometimes. I mean, I almost, every day I'm kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to work out today, whatever. I'm out of my routine, and whatever. But I think one good thing, and this goes to that post that you put out the other day, Clark, of it's just get moving, just start moving, and you'll get into it, right? Just say, hey, I'm gonna do the warm up. I'm gonna get through the warm up. And then then you get in that mindset. It's one, like, all you got to do is just like with running, just start walking down the street, and you'll eventually start running. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to just get moving and make it a part of your day. And I think that's important for a lot of people, our members, as well, is like kind of schedule a routine, even though, some of us, for instance, like Clark and I are kind of, without a real job right now because we're both, personal trainers and coaches, that it's to kind of stick to a routine, set the alarm, wake up at a certain time, have your day scheduled out as if you were still working your regular job or your 9 to 5, whatever have you. But
I think that's a really important tip. I think that is one of the more important things about this is having it set of like the appointment, kind of like as if you're going to the gym, but it's the time that is more it, and you're going to do that at this time or something like that. And then also you touched on the goals, I think is probably, that could be one of the big tickets for people, or one of the big keys for people, if they have even one thing that they're trying to get better at every day. Whether that's the body weight stuff, because let's face it, I mean, I still have to put out my video. I promised I'd do this, a max effort push-up video. And I guarantee you, I have a story I'll save for that video, but I don't think I can do as many as I could when I was an 18-year-old. I was pretty good at push-ups. Now, they weren't CrossFit push-ups back then, but anyways, I know that if that was something, if that was one of my goals, let's say, or maybe it's handstand push-ups, or maybe it is the running, or maybe there's any number of things. Pistols I threw out the other day. I think now is an awesome time to get your pistols dialed in.
Oh yeah.
So we'll follow up with more. Hold me to this, but I'll put out another pistol video about just getting at home, even of what we can do to master those. But anyways, just focusing on a goal, and then going after that goal and saying, okay, today, and here's another thing, both you and I think would volunteer this to our people, because we want to do more for you guys. We can put together a program for you to accomplish the goal that you want to accomplish, whatever it is that you want to get better at. We want to know so that we can help you. So that's another way that we can potentially take this to another level.
Yeah. And before we move on, I just want to point out the fact that Hannah just took like a stank face selfie, and you know we're being video recorded, right?
No, I didn't. It's called multitasking.
Anyway,
That's funny.
and kind of, I wanted to touch on this, kind of backtracking a little bit. But Hannah, you had asked earlier, like how we're staying connected. And I think one of the coolest things to come out with this whole thing is that CrossFit put out that support your local box fundraiser. So that's a good way for us to connect in a form of competition, in a form of camaraderie, because we're doing the same workout. So that's another thing that we can start to implement. And actually, just off the cuff, I'm going to challenge all of you Tigers Den athletes that are doing our programmed workouts to start putting up your score or your time in the Instagram comments to give us a little feedback, to create that kind of whiteboard scoreboard mentality. I know it's not all about the competition. It's not all about that, but I think it'd be really cool to see a bunch of scores up there and like some likes on people's scores, stuff like that too. That way we can feel a little bit more of a sense of togetherness. But so again, please, like, you know, if you're doing our workouts, go ahead and comment your scores. And that'd be really cool to see. And I think that will give people motivation. So
And Nick,
that would certainly give me motivation.
Nick, I think you told me that you were going to start personally calling several people a day to harass them and follow up on them, right? Make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do.
I guess I could do that. Yeah.
That might be one of our next steps too. We'll reach out to everybody.
They don't have any excuse not to answer.
That's right.
Yeah, right. The other thing I want to do too is, and I will share this to Tigers Den, is I'm going to start shooting videos on like how to manipulate household items, how to like rig up bands around the house, how to, you know, create certain exercises for different things that you may have around the house. Doing that with, you know, kind of with what I have, and giving examples of what you could do with if you don't have a specific set of bands or a set of dumbbells or whatever. But I'm just trying to like give people variety of what they can do in their exercises if they are doing something other than, you know, what we're programming out there too. But, you know, if people are kind of looking for a little bit extra, you know, feel free to reach out to us and hit us up for exercise ideas and things like that. Because, you know, Clark and I have been doing this for a long time, so we definitely have a wealth of knowledge on how to stay in shape and improve fitness through this whole thing.
Definitely. And I think that is something we've been saying since the beginning, is that you can come out of this more fit than we went into it. Oh, and I also have been wanting to follow up on this topic, which is along the same lines, but you don't need to worry about losing strength right now. I'll follow up with another maybe specific post about this, or another email or message on social, but here's my experience with strength, and you're experiencing it a little bit with your brother-in-law right now. Part of it is maintaining. Right now, we may not be, unless we're lifting super heavy loads, let's say, and really loading up the central nervous system, we may not be increasing our overall raw strength, but it may not be decreasing much at all. We might just be maintaining the strength that we have. Or if we do come back and we're not maybe able to hit that super heavy weight that we were before, I can almost guarantee, and I've done it myself many times after long breaks, even after this recent stint with the kidney stone or what have you, different times when we moved the gym where I had to take breaks. And within 3 weeks, I call it 3 weeks to PR. It may be slightly different for different people, but if you're diligent, if you hit some really good workouts, and if you have a good plan of attack for reaching whatever PR goal you might have, you can definitely you can get stronger than you've ever been with 3 weeks of really good training. So that's at least one thing that I believe, and that I've proven to myself over and over again.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I mean, if you look at any professional athlete, they generally don't lift very heavy during their season. And that can be 16, 17, 20 weeks. And they'll come back that next off season and pick right back up where they left off and get stronger. So, you can.
We lost you for a second.
Nick, no. Speaking of improvising, this is
That's
what
right.
must during this time.
Yeah, no doubt. He'll be back in just a second, I'm sure.
I know. Nick, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, you're back.
Well, we might be losing.
Don't ever leave again.
Yeah, I don't know where it cut off there, but
No, you didn't cut off for very long, but we might want to wrap it up. Full circle it.
What was that? We were saying, okay, adding the 3 weeks, adding on strength, professional athletes.
Yeah. So, forgive me if I'm going to just repeat what I just said, but you look at any professional athlete, NFL, NBA, NHL, whatever, they don't lift very heavy during season generally. And that's usually a 16 to 20 week period where they're not lifting heavy. They're not really generally lifting maximal effort. So they're able to maintain that stuff. When they come right back in that next off season, they pick up where they left off and they make gains in strength. So to anybody that is concerned with that, I would say, don't worry about it. Don't let that be your focus right now. Your focus should just be to continue on, hit whatever workout you can, and do it to the maximal intensity that you can. This isn't a time to this isn't a time to beat yourself up or to self-loathe or what you can. Just do anything that you can. Whether if it's only running, only run. That's fine. Get better at your running. Or you have equipment at your disposal. That's awesome. Use it. Just maintain, keep on keeping on.
Exactly. And I think that's a good point about the intensity factor. When we don't have maybe the weight to create the intensity, it's in our time, it's in our speed, it's in our explosiveness. We want fast twitch fibers, we move quicker. Or also spending more time on an eccentric. You want to get stronger at push-ups, work on the negative, or handstand push-ups, work on the negative. Stuff like that, where you can create a sense of more weight in the body too, by playing with the tempos and doing different things like that. It's not the only way to get strong. But I think when you pack in the work, let's take this last open WOD, or I'm calling it the quarantine open. But basically it's 10 minutes of, fast pace intensity. And what tends to happen is people think that a push-up might not be worth as much sometimes, but when you're packing them in like that, each push-up starts to become like a max effort lift. And so it's like the value of that work that you're doing is increased by the intensity And part of what CrossFit is all founded on, which is our work capacity, our capability of doing things in a certain amount of time, which then computes to horsepower or human kind of horsepower.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think intensity is huge at this point. You know, depending on the amount of equipment you have, or if you have none at all, it's keeping that heart rate up. It is maybe shortening your rest times. It is, if we're programming something that's got a 50-pound dumbbell, for instance. We'll take, for instance, this open style thing that we're doing right now, the local box thing. If you don't have a 50-pound dumbbell, if you're a guy, or you don't have a 35-pound dumbbell, if you're a female, and you have maybe a 20, or you have, whatever, a milk jug, you can always add in reps. I know this is specifically for time, but like if we're talking in general, like you can always add in extra reps, or you can always go faster, be more explosive, like you said, Clark. So it's all about just kind of like being in the know, or having the knowledge to, or the foresight to like take a workout, assess what you have available, and then have a plan. You know what I mean? Maybe to me, like, I'm not good with workouts if I'm just like kind of just improvising and YOLOing it. Like, I need to write out like a specific plan. So for me, like, even if I know exactly what I'm going to do in a workout, I'll still write it down, because that, for whatever reason in my mind, is going to make me stick to that. Like, I'm going to finish it if it's written down, or I'm going to do what's written down. So, maybe that's what you need for motivation too, is to just like grab a piece of notebook paper, or a whiteboard, or chalkboard, whatever you got, and write down your daily plan, write down your daily workout, and make sure that you finish everything that's on there.
Definitely. Well, I know we got to wrap this up, but we should definitely do this again. This might be the start of our new podcast.
Yeah.
But last thing I want to say, though, just in case if there's anybody out there that has just basically resigned to not exercising right now, I'm talking to you guys right now. And that's an easy thing to do at this time. Your gym gets closed and you're just like, oh, well, there goes my workouts, right? So I know that there's got to be some people out there like that. And what I challenge you is just to get one in. Just do one. Start with that and see how it feels. See where you are afterwards. Part of it is making this decision, making that commitment to doing it. And then you just have to, like we said earlier, you just have to get started on it. You have to show up. Normally I say you have to just walk through the door at the gym. You have to get out of bed first, and then you got to walk through the door at some point that day, or hopefully, maybe morning or after work or whatever. But in this case, you just have to get started. Like I said today, or in the message, just do something to prepare your body for movement. If you do that, if you get up off the couch and stretch a little bit and prepare for movement, and then look at the warm up, and then start in on the light warm up. And then by the time you get going with that, you're going to start feeling like working out. It might take 15 to 20 minutes before you start feeling like it. But, we would love to see people come back and say, hey, I didn't work out for 2 weeks, but then I started, so you don't have to just stop right now.
Yeah. Whatever way we can help motivate people. And, people can reach out to us on social media if they need shit. If you need a daily text from me, I'm happy to text your ass and tell you to get up out of bed and start moving. If that's, I got the time right now. So.
Same here. All right. Good stuff.
All right. Well, this has been fun. I would love to do it again. Thank you, Hannah, for sitting in.
Thank you, guys. This has been awesome.
Hannah. Yeah, thank you.
It's positive.
Right. Cool.
Awesome.
We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. See you guys.
Bye.